Well, welcome back to another edition of our podcast here with Real Producers. We are with our August cover feature, Craig BUEHLER with the Powell BUEHLER Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. And so we're here to talk about his story and kind of dive into the many facets of Craig BUEHLER. I've learned so much about you and have been quite impacted and moved by your life's journey and everything that you've done up until this point. In addition to, quite frankly, the difference in the way that you're approaching the real estate model, it's pretty groundbreaking and people need to know about it. So I'm so glad that we were able to share a little bit more about your story. So we're going to kind of get into it here and start.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me out.
Absolutely, Craig. We're going to start from the beginning. There's a lot to cover here, but it's all just super fascinating. So from Westerville, entrepreneur from a young age. Mm-hmm. We read in here that with your brother, you started landscaping, some snow removal in high school. You were a four-year letter winner and captain of the wrestling team. Yep. Would you kind of touch a little bit on where you feel like you get some of those characteristics kind of to start? Maybe talk about your parents a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So mom, phenomenal person, definitely created the heart and passion for people that I have. Dad was owner of a small business, a wholesale tool distribution company. So I learned a lot about hard work from both of them, especially. The entrepreneurship mindset definitely came a lot from my dad, but also my brothers. I have one brother that's 11 years older and then one that's 4 years older. So there's definitely a big
Oh my gosh, so you're the baby.
So actually my oldest brother would take care of me a lot. I mean, as I was 7, he was 18. And he was always very interested in business as well. So we would do stuff like start an actual landscaping company or snow removal company, or even when I was younger, Pokemon merchant, basically trading cards and bringing people together that I'd mentioned they wanted certain cards. But then it definitely grew more from there. It got to the point where we would have some employees for like the landscaping business. And it definitely taught me a lot about entrepreneurship. And I definitely fell in love with it at a young age.
Wow. So talk me through after high school, your college journey, which then translated into some international travel and like fascinating opportunities that I feel like a lot of people can't speak to when they're 20, 21, 22 years old. So talk to me about that next phase of your life.
Yeah, so each thing just kind of led to another. I've kind of always been opportunistic and curious about life and people that I meet. And you mentioned the international travels. I learned so much there. So during high school, a lot of it came from there. So a mentor of mine was my wrestling coach, David Grant, phenomenal guy. When I was even a lot younger in middle school and elementary school, was training with him and everything. And basically he knew I loved business and I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do when I was older. I always had a passion for how people thought. So that would be psychology. And I also had a passion for finance and for business. And so he was like, okay, finance. And so I would go to him and I would kind of talk about these two and how much I love both of them. I can't decide. And he basically was like, have you ever heard of economics? It's how people think with money. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's the best thing I've ever heard. So I dove into it. And even as a freshman in high school, decided the program I want to do is my master's in financial economics at Ohio University. Wow. And everything else just continued on the next 9 years, made that come to fruition.
Okay, so the first trip that you took at OU was to Slovakia to create a business strategy for a $60 billion company creating a streaming video product.
Yeah.
Would you expand on that just a bit?
Absolutely. So it was very interesting. Parents and friends thought I was crazy when I went on it. But basically the gist is the program would look for the top college students, and basically these international companies would want the perspective of the consumer and also business student that was excelling from the United States. So luckily I got chosen and I got to go over there and partner with students there as well, and then a couple team members with me, and we started planning this online streaming product very similar to how Netflix is now.
Mm.
But back then, that was actually when Netflix was still sending the DVDs and not like it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they created the product and continued on with it, and it's doing very well.
So you graduated OU in 2012 with an undergraduate degree in economics. Shortly after, you joined a people-to-people program and traveled to Cuba to meet with the owners of privately owned businesses and talk with them about the future of the Cuban economy. That sounds intimidating and a little scary, perhaps.
Yeah,
Would you just tell us a story about that
sure.
specific trip?
Yeah, so very impactful in my life. I've always been interested in Cuba and how it was so close, yet obviously trade embargo. There's no McDonald's there, there's no Coca-Cola there. Same thing, vice versa, with their companies as well. Well, they kind of opened up the borders and kind of were allowing just a people-to-people excursion, one from there, one from here. And luckily, I got chosen to end up going on that. And
Wow.
we spoke with the local business owners. And the easiest example I always give to people is one of the people was a barber. And so basically, after 20 heads he would cut, the government would take 100% of the income. And so just trying to speak to capitalism and how it actually works, I would ask him, I would say, okay, let's just say the government took 80% of the income for after that 20th head. What would you do? And he was like, oh, I would cut 1,000 heads in a day. And so I was like, that feeling you're having, that is the incentive you get from capitalism to give back more to your community, give more value back. And that obviously incentivizes you to keep going and to hire other people, and those other people then spend money into the economy that then hires more people, and that's the idea of growth from capitalism. But at the same time, I had been to one other communist country, but being there was a little frightening, not to step over any lines or anything, or push capitalism, just more speak to the nature of it.
So let's talk about one more international trip, and then we're going to kind of get into how in the world you ended up from finance into the real estate space. So
Yeah.
you took a kind of a life-changing trip also to Haiti. Would you share with us why you went and what that was for?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, my sister-in-law, but also some friends were also in the program. It was the Rain Catchers program. And so they would go to Haiti and build these gutter systems that would catch fresh water. First, I was like, okay, there's probably, there's a lot of mission trips I want to be a part. I'm not really sure how much impact I can have there. Well, as I learned about what the program did and how much impact it actually had, I became very interested. And what would happen is these women would basically spend 8 hours a day walking up and down the mountain to get fresh water. Well, when they did that, they had no time to get educated. They had no time to raise their kids. They had no time to give back to the economy. And just realizing that all we would have to do is build some of these systems and we could change someone's life entirely, immediately. And just very simply building these systems have such an impact. So I went down there and saw it with my own eyes, and it worked exactly as I thought. The rain catchers then made it so the women could go to school and they would become educated and they would help grow the economy, and they would have more of a voice in the economy as well. So it was a beautiful thing, and it was definitely life-changing for me.
We were talking kind of in Westerville when we were together earlier that on your whiteboard in your office, this equates to kind of the impact that you made there and carried with you to this day. Would you share with us what you have on your whiteboard?
Yeah, absolutely. So right there in my office at home, it says, "Did you have a positive impact on the world today?" And that's kind of my mantra and something I ask myself every single day. Some days I feel like I did a better job of it than other
Sure.
days, but it is very important to me to give back and have as much of an impact on the world as I can.
So you eventually become a financial advisor.
Yep.
So you were deciding to buy a condo and you thought it'd be a smart move, but you didn't realize how wise and fateful this decision would be. So you meet this beautiful realtor. And who was this beautiful lady? And kind of talk to us about what happened after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a wild, amazing chain of events. So I became a financial advisor. It was going very well, was top 100 in the country. A lot of doctors and
Wow.
attorneys were clients, and I'd be like, man, I'm doing well for
Wow.
you.
Were
And
you loving what you were doing?
absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'd be like, I'm doing really well for you and your job does really well for you, but you shouldn't be this wealthy. So that kind of made me like explore like what else were they doing?
Mhm.
Then
Mm.
I started meeting some of my clients and they would talk about their residual income, passive income from their real estate investments. So I was like, okay, that makes them more wealthy. Very cool. I like that. And then they started to speak about how it freed up their time rather than doing overtime at their work. They would go to their kids' sports games or they would go on vacation and these checks would still hit their accounts. And I was like, wow, I mean, the money keeps working for itself. And so I looked more into it and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start a real estate investment company. While I was doing that, so strange, but looked into it, bought a couple rentals and smaller buildings and one condo that I wanted to look at.
Mhm.
I was like, I think this girl I went to high school with, I think she's a realtor. Maybe I'll look her up. And so I looked her up on
Really?
Facebook. Never
Okay,
knew
I
each other
didn't.
in high school
Oh,
at all. Went to the same high school, one year apart. Never knew her, but I knew of her. Had a bunch of friends that were mutual friends. Had seen some stuff on Facebook of her having sold some friends' houses and
okay.
stuff like that. So, literally messaged her on Facebook. Said, "Hey, we don't really know each other, but I'm interested in this condo that's for sale over here. Would you mind representing me or helping me out?" And she said, yeah, absolutely. So we went to see it. I bought that condo and we got married.
And her parents are Tina and John Powell.
Yep. Yep.
Kind of a big deal. So Samantha, you met their daughter. So she has a love for real estate and it inspired you to leave your 9 to 5 corporate job and choose a career centered on real estate. So how long was it? Did it happen quickly or kind of?
We definitely got engaged pretty quickly. Let's see. Oh, I think it was maybe like a year and a half or
So
so.
cute.
And then we got engaged. But it was interesting how it all just fit so well
Yeah.
together. So I met her, and obviously my clients were loving real estate, and she was loving real estate. So I'm looking more into it, and I'm like, you know what? I took the real estate classes in college because I did quarter hours.
Mm-hmm.
So you paid for 20 hours technically, but you only had to take 16 hours to graduate on time. And of course, I was in college, and I'm like, if I'm paying for it, I'm going to take some more classes. What can I do? And they offered the real estate classes. So I actually took the real estate classes in college, and I was like, oh man, those are long gone. Like they expire after 10
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back and looked at it, and it had been like 9.5 years since I took those classes.
Nice.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? She loves it, and I like the face-to-face interaction with people in business, which you get a little bit more in that world than the financial advising world. I
Yeah.
love home ownership and believe in it strongly. I
Mhm.
love real estate as an investment. And I just happened to also take the real estate classes 9.5 years ago that expires in 6 months or whatever.
It's now or never.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So took the test, passed it, joined Tina and John Powell,
Mm-hmm.
that's her parents, and Samantha, and they were all well-known, phenomenal agents already in the area.
Yeah.
And from there, just started doing well. I had a good network of people, so that definitely helped a lot. And even in the financial advising world, had a good network of people.
Yes. Right.
So ended up doing very well. And Tina, she did a phenomenal job, and she's the best agent that I've ever met.
Mm.
And she started to kind of see like the business knowledge and the systems that I wanted to
Mhm.
build and all the things that I thought agents were underserved for in the industry. And she really started to see the vision and how I built all these automations that would take things off her plate, and for the rest of our team as well. We had some other agents, and basically, rather than her laying on her back in bed at night looking at the ceiling thinking, oh, I have tenant contract, did I do the remedy for this, did I get lender the contract? Did I make sure the title company did everything? Which agent did which? And doing it all on paper and everything. She started to see that I knew there was something we could build that would make that a lot simpler. And so we went on from there and eventually got to the part where she wanted to slow down and had some health issues as well. And so now I'm the team lead there.
Yeah.
And we've built it out for all the agents to kind of succeed in different areas I thought they've been underserved by.
It's so interesting. If you think back on your life and everything that you did, it was such a culmination for you to come and make a difference in this space. So you've really curated something that's very special there, though it's kind of set up a little bit differently than just a team and your systems. Very forward thinking. Would you kind of dive a little bit deeper as to why you all are different?
The main thing is with those systems, what I wanted to do was get as much off of the agent's plate as possible. Because what I started to see was the more overwhelmed an agent got with paperwork or kind of the secondary non-client facing items, I started to see their customer service drop quite a bit. And so I thought, just like any industry, in the car sales world, you're not the mechanic and the salesperson and the front desk and doing all these hats like you do in the realtor world. And I knew you could never be excellent or excel at all those things. So started building out these systems and ended up cutting the agent's time about in half. So they can spend more time generating more leads or being consumer facing and really keep the customer service at a high level. And what that does is not only does it give them more time to be better with their clients, but if they are wanting to do more transactions, it gives them now double the time to go lead generate more. And so then they can really build that Warren Buffett snowball and start really excelling their business from there. But there's a couple other things that kind of are interesting.
Yes, there are.
I know the main thing that really interested you was basically I was speaking with Tina one day and I was like, so when you don't have a son-in-law, what do you do when you're a realtor, when you want to retire, when you want to move south, when you have a medical emergency and cannot keep working all these clients? And basically she was like, honestly, there's nothing. There's no plan. I don't know what I would have done. She's like, I probably would have just kept working forever, which, that is not a plan in itself. And so same story. I kind of dove into it more and did some research, found out 80% of the realtors have no plan for how they're going to stop. And then the interesting thing was, so I knew I could solve that problem, create something where there could be a plan for them to stop. What I didn't know is for the 20% that kind of had a plan, basically what that plan was when a call would come in saying, oh, you helped my mom, or you helped my daughter, can you help me too? What they would do is then they would just have a person that they liked and they would call that person and say, I have a lead and hand it off. So still absolutely better than nothing.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, let's dive into that further. And what I found was even just doing the marketing to their database that they work so hard their entire life to build, keeping up with the marketing and touching base with them, and whether it's sending videos, whether it's inviting them to our team events, whatever it might be, that I should at least be able to get double the calls going to them than they would have while they were just stopped marketing and were just basically taking calls. So what we've kind of done is, I call it the do less system. So do less is LESS, lucrative exit strategy system. And so there's 110 things that we do, and we call them legacy agents. And so there are different ways to basically get them in touch with the team, continuing to have touch points with that client coming directly from the legacy agent and then also coming from the team, kind of meshing that trust to be able to keep that consumer more sticky. So have all those touch points. And so basically someone lets me know that they don't have a plan or they've stopped for a couple of years and haven't had any calls. Well, then we start that plan and start re-engaging their database that they've built. And a lot of them, the agents don't actually even have databases, so I'll help them rebuild that, whether it's going through closings or invite lists they've had in the past. It's been a beautiful thing, and it's one of those things that I believe that the industry has been underserved, because we have people on our team that were active full-time agents and then had a very, very serious medical emergencies.
Yes.
One where her husband bought a business in another state and had to move. Another one where her child had a child that had emergencies and then has to kind of spend more time doing that. So, or it's just as simple as I would love to go on vacation for the summer. And how are you going to manage that book of business while you go? So there's a lot of things that it kind of added to. You can have a career path with the team that lasts forever, literally until the day you die. Or you could already be retired and then kind of start trying to re-engage those people to be able to have some of that back to residual income, to make sure retirement's sustainable for you.
Craig, it's really fascinating because it really, there's a massive hole in the community. And you and I were talking about this, I've discussed this specific topic with only 2 other agents that have implemented this and put this in place. There's also another group that has, but there's really no active type program or system in place. And can you imagine, you've been doing this for 20, 30 years, and I would feel slightly helpless. Like, you've worked all your life, you have this very valuable, they framed it as, it's so true, you've built a business. It is sellable, but your business is basically a database.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that information? And I bet so many people feel trapped where they're like, well, I have to keep doing this, or, this is my life's work. What do I do now? So very fascinating subject to me, and being in the industry for about 14 years, how there's such a need for that. Yeah. So when you're evaluating maybe realtors to bring onto the team or engage in a conversation, do you kind of have an expectation or a checklist for yourself of who you would entertain or have that type of discussion with? I assume you don't just take anyone. It's kind of, there's a method to that. Would that be accurate?
100% true. So definitely first and foremost, I want to be able to work with people that I like. I work a lot and I enjoy work and I love it, but only with people that I like and trust.
Yeah.
And we can build something together where we both benefit and aren't, hating working with each other or whatever it may be.
Sure.
But kind of beyond that, it's a very flexible system. For example, Tina will still work with her favorite people, best friends, or whatever it may be. And it's nothing, against the clients that she's not working with or anything, but she only has so much time and bandwidth compared to, anyone when they're younger and wants to work all the time type of thing. So it's a very flexible system where you could work some people, you could hand off some people, you could be gone out of the country and we're still being able to manage those people. You could stop and be a full-time, we'll call it legacy agent for 2 years and then say, okay, I'm ready. I'm a little bored. I want to come back and work some people, and still go right back into being able to work who you want.
Wow.
So the biggest part is making sure that we're keeping the consumer sticky for you. And then how involved or uninvolved you want to be is 100% up to you.
Excellent. How long did it take you to produce these systems?
Yeah, it improves every time we add a new legacy agent. Definitely every single time we're kind of like changing. This worked a little bit better than this. We should also add this. So we're definitely always improving it. And that in itself is kind of the issue that the industry's had in the past, is you may be a legacy agent and join a team and you'll be the first and maybe only one ever that they'll take on.
Yeah.
So they haven't built the system and changed it over time and nothing against them either. It's just they've only done it one time. And it even started as, I want to do these 20 things for Tina to keep her customers sticky.
Well, and as you know very well, our industry it's ever evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the last 6 months, it's always, when I'm planning a panel, I typically don't decide the topic until pretty close to the panel because of the ever adapting nature of our industry. Yep. So that makes a lot of sense that you probably have to kind of adjust certain methods of whatever that looks like depending on what's going on.
Definitely the industry and what's happening in it has a huge impact on how we change it. But even beyond that, just learning each time and adding things has had a huge impact to make it better every single time. And so I think that's where that 20% of the people that do have a plan, I think are kind of missing, because they'll still just be the first one for that team, and so that agent or team hasn't gone through that learning process on how to make it better and smoother for the legacy agent.
So out of curiosity, and I'm probably straying away from specific points here, but I'm curious, do you have any plans on communicating this program or ability to other brokerages or realtors outside of your model?
Yeah, absolutely. The Real Producer article itself was phenomenal, and it was touched on in there. So that was definitely very impactful, and have had some people reach out with questions and interest already. So
that's awesome.
Definitely thank you for that.
Absolutely.
But I think there is a huge void that I literally figured out by experiencing it. So I know it exists for a lot of other people. And so there will be some other things. Most of it's going to be word of mouth, because I want it to be successful for agents, and then I want them to be passionate about it and tell other people. And that literally has already happened multiple times. So they're seeing the value once they've joined. And just like you want your actual agent or your actual client, on the consumer side, you want word of mouth to be your best thing. You want to, be the person that other people are raving fans of, and to spread the word that way. And that's where it has the most impact.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on regarding you or the business before we kind of bring this to a close? Anything else?
Oh, let's see. So there's a few differences between kind of our team, and I spoke a little bit about it, but definitely having the transaction coordination and marketing coordinators and administrative help and everything has really helped a lot. So definitely very proud of this team. We do have
incredible group here.
Yeah, Crystal right there. She is actually doing a senior division. So she's starting.
Love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful.
It's an amazing thing. And same thing did we have an impact on the world today. So same exact thing. And she's so passionate about it. She was a senior advisor. So she got to see many people face to face and has this huge passion for it. And she's already started working with a bunch of downsizing companies, and a bunch of probate attorneys use her, literally because they can see the passion that she has for it. But beyond that, she's one of the few people that actually has experience on the other side, the senior advising side, and what the next steps looks like for that person. So, even in that realm specifically, getting the most money for your house because of care is so expensive is just so important. And she has such a passion for it that it's amazing to see.
The only thing I miss about title is I love to do either a first-time home buyer signing or a senior couple that is selling their home, because it is such an emotional. I think we tend to get into transactions when you're in title and it's just another closing, but they're saying goodbye to a friend. They're saying goodbye to memories of families, and it's different. And I love to, I don't know, just wrap my arms around them and, be there. It's a different type of transaction. So that's really, really cool. Yep. That's awesome. Anything else, Craig?
I think that's all.
Yeah.
I thought you had a good story about your new puppy.
We're going to leave that.
All right.
Yeah, I told him, I said, if you're a family that has small children and you'd like to go into psychosis or like, I don't know, whatever, the straw
Sure.
that breaks the camel's back, get a puppy. I don't have small kids. But this is enough for me. I have one daughter. I'm actually a grandma, so she has a 2-year-old, and then now we have this puppy, and I do have a 12-year-old stepdaughter. But anywho, it's a lot of work, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll eventually be worth it, but
Yeah.
we're in the throes, guys. And I have to also, this specific picture of your son, this
Yeah.
one, I can't handle it. Like,
That's Ace.
he's darling. They're both darling. So twin boys, beautiful little girl. Beautiful names, beautiful wife. This was such an honor to get to know you. I mean, I've been doing that. This is 6 years, and the people that I've met, I really believe people come into our path when we're supposed to talk about their story. And so this has been definitely one of my favorites. And thank you for how you serve. I'm always an advocate for the professional agent. We need you. Our communities need you. You make a difference. So thank you for your professionalism and how you're helping to change the face of our industry and helping our agents. So thank you, Craig, and we'll see you next month.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of this movement that we're trying to have. I greatly appreciate it.
It's an honor. Thanks, Craig.